Okay, well, welcome everybody to today's presentation with Dr. Elizabeth Pavka called Heading to 100 with Health. Most of you know who I am, but a few of you may not, because I do see some new names and faces that I'm not familiar with. So welcome to all of you. My name is Zach Comer. I'm the owner of Asheville Medical Massage and High Performance Aging. So we have a spectrum of services for pain relief and mobility improvements, all the way through full body fitness. Today's session, I contacted Elizabeth, I guess what, 4 weeks ago. Elizabeth,
Yeah.
probably.
Uh-huh.
We got to talking about this. I've been a wellness practitioner here in the Asheville area since 2005, so 15 years. And most of you are here in Asheville. Some of you, I believe, are not, but Asheville is well known as a bit of a healing arts hub. And Elizabeth's, Dr. Pavka's name is one that I've known for years. She's just continually the name that comes up that and to my best of my knowledge, is as experienced as any local nutritionist. So I'm really excited to have her here with us as part of the commitment that I made to all of you at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was going into shelter in place or headed that way, to find ways to support you to take care of yourself as well as possible under these interesting, unique, and uncertain, and oftentimes stressful times. So a little bit more about Dr. Pavka. She's has a PhD. She's also a registered dietitian and has been a holistic nutritionist for over 30 years. She helps her clients to improve their health in three major ways. The first is increasing healthy organic foods appropriate for the individual while eliminating unhealthy foods. Adding quality vitamin and mineral supplements. That's the second way. And the third is doing testing with Genova Diagnostic Labs. They're located here in Asheville to get a closer look at various processes going on inside the client's body. She teaches at 3 online universities of health and nutrition education: Huntington University of Health Sciences, Hawthorne University, and Maryland University of Integrative Health. And she wants us to know that she certainly practices what she teaches. About 95% of the foods that she eats are organic. She works out regularly. She loves to walk all around Asheville, and there's plenty of hills here. For those of you that live here locally, you know that. She's been a member of the YMCA for 12 years. She's passionate about many types of music. She's sung in the Asheville Choral Society for 33 years. I know we got a few folks on this call that are also singers in their own right. She has 2 grown married children and 4 nearly grown grandchildren. Her youngest grandchild will be attending university this fall. So welcome, Dr. Pavka. Thank you for
Well,
being
thank you
here.
very much, Zach. I really appreciate this. And I've been looking forward to this because it's my passion. And as you said in the introduction, I practice what I teach. I don't practice what I preach. I practice what I teach. So the title of this is called Headin' for 100 with Health. And I've said that over the last couple of years to people, and they kind of look at me like they're startled and they don't really understand what I'm saying. But that's the title of my talk. So there are 4 pieces to the puzzle of healthy aging. Foods, beverages, and supplements is one piece. Exercise and activity is another piece. Is there a difference? I once had a student write, well, for me, exercise is hard, but activity is easy. So I said to her, then call it whatever you want to do as long as you get your body moving. And yes, get moving daily. It's really, really important to do that. And then sleep, getting a good night's sleep is another piece of the puzzle of healthy aging, because it's during the time when we're asleep that the body and the brain clean house of all the toxins and unwanted things that we accumulate during the daytime. So get a good night's sleep. And then reduce the stress in your life. You know, and my gosh, haven't we had a lot of stress over the last 3 or 4 months? I mean, with this coronavirus, it really is a challenge. Okay, So one topic, I want to talk about 3 topics. One of them is called the building blocks of the cells and substances in our body and our brain. So I want you to hold up a finger like this. And even those of you who I cannot see, I would like you to hold up a finger. All right. So yes, not only are you all number 1 people, but what's relevant to this point is, what kind of cells do you have in your finger? You have skin cells and nail cells and muscle cells and nerve cells and bone cells. And maybe I've left out some, but I think that'll do it for today. So all of those cells have a certain lifespan. So the body produces them and they live their lifespan. And then the body goes, oh, I'm sorry, you're too old. We have to get rid of you. It gets rid of you. And then how does it make new cells? How does it make a new finger in this regard? It takes what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe into our body, and what we put on our skin. Those are the 4 places that the building blocks for our body and our brain come from. So when we improve the quality of what we eat, we improve the quality of what we drink, we improve the quality of what we breathe, and we improve the quality of what we put on our skin that disappears, then we are giving the body what it needs to build these newer, healthier cells. Generation by generation by generation. You know, because red blood cells live about 3 months and then they die and they get replaced. Bone cells live about 7 years before they die and get replaced. So every cell in our body and our brain is in this pattern of building blocks, creating the cell, functioning in a healthy manner, and then getting rid of the cells and then building new cells. Does that make sense? I mean, you can shake your head yes, because I can see at least 3 other of you people. Okay, good. Because that's a really important point to understand. So as a person improves the food she eats and the fluids he drinks and the air he breathes, fewer toxins hopefully in it, and improves the quality of what a person puts on her skin, then the quality of those cells and supplements improves. And then the body and the brain get healthier and healthier. Topic 2 has to do with something called toxins. And you may have heard about toxins. We are exposed to a growing number of toxins, and every day it's growing by leaps and bounds. And I have a specific true example that I want to share with you now. When I leave my home in my car, I often get stuck behind a big trucks that are carrying dirt and rocks from the rock quarry here to various building places all over Asheville. And I do my very best not to get behind those trucks, because some of those trucks, you know, they have these exhausts that go above the cab, and they just put out these black clouds of smoke. And I don't want to be breathing those, so I roll up my windows and I do my very best to get around that truck, or I slow down to get farther behind that truck. But that's just one of the places where we are exposed to these toxins. And it's nasty business for all of us. You know, or you go to the gas station to pump gas, and here you are breathing in gasoline, and that's a toxic into our body as well. All right, so sometimes these toxins are called persistent organic pollutants, also known as POPs. So this is not a nickname for your grandfather. This is POPs, toxins in our food, our water, our air, and our soil. Certainly other factors that relate to how healthy we are includes our genetics. And many people have said and written that our genes determine 25% of the illnesses that we develop. And therefore, that means that our lifestyle choices, what we eat, what we drink, what we breathe, how we move, our lifestyle choices determine 75% of the illnesses a person gets. So lifestyle choices are really important. And we have a choice over our lifestyle choices. If we're going to walk every day, like I've been doing this every day. I've been finding a place to walk at least 30 minutes, more often 60 minutes, because I find that that exercise helps me sleep better at night, and I want to promote better sleep. So other pieces to the puzzle of aging might be our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our social gatherings, despite social distancing, you understand. And everything impacts the way our genes are expressed. So exposure to toxins is a big piece of Americans' diminishing health. Here's a very brief list. Number one, perfumes. How many of you use perfumes on your body? Okay, that's a potential source of toxins. Cleaning products in your home. Air fresheners in your home. Here's a one, plastic food containers that I have written never in capital letters. Never, ever put your food in plastic containers. I don't care what the plastic says it is. You don't want to put your food in there because the toxins from the plastic will migrate into the food, and you don't want that to happen. So I wish I could tell you, I should have brought I've got some storage containers. The bottom is glass bottom, glass sides. And then it has a little snap-on lid that I put on. That's what I store my leftover foods in the refrigerator in. So never use plastic food. Never put your food into plastic containers. And never put your water into, never drink water out of plastic bottles. I mean, I've seen so many people are doing that. I want to show you, I think you can see this. If I do it like this, okay. So what you see in these, what looks like holes, that's the inside glass where my water goes or whatever I'm drinking. And then this outside, can I pull it out? Well, maybe you can see it. That's a plastic covering that allows it not to break, so I can grab hold of it and I can take it like this when I'm going for a walk or whatever. So, and as I remember it, I think I bought this at the Earth Fair out in East Asheville before they all shut down. Oh, and by the way, the Earth Fairs are opening up. The one over in Westgate is reopening on the 24th of this month. So I'm really excited about that. Okay, cosmetics, things not to have in your life or on your body. Antiperspirants, non-stick cookware, also known as Teflon. Never, never, never cook anything in Teflon. And if you have a Teflon anything in your kitchen, throw it out. Don't even donate it to Goodwill. Well, you can't do that now anyhow. Just throw it out because it's toxic, very, very toxic. Leaves toxic residues in the foods that are cooked in it. And the last one I have on my list, although the list could be much longer, is if you eat canned foods out of cans, like I often buy canned soups, you want to find a can that says on the label, it is BPA free, because BPA is another one of these toxic substances that comes out of the lining of the can that the food is in, comes into the food, and then you get to consume it. So, and the list could be much longer, but I just wanted to give you a taste, pardon the pun, of them, all right? And the third piece of this has to do with eating healthy fats. Now, for the last 25 years, we've been told that if we eat more fat, we will get more fat. And we know that is not how the body works. So it's when we eat more sugar and more white carbohydrates. That's what turns into fat in the body. And we shouldn't be eating, sugar and white carbs because they're not healthy for us. And when we begin to eat less of those, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes, then we can be healthier and not have as many problems with fats. So Approximately 60% of our fat, of our brain matter, consists of fats. It's a very, are we fatheads? Yes, literally and figuratively. Hopefully the fats that are in our brain are healthy fats. The good fat in your brain cells creates all the membranes in those cells, and the cells in your brain are called, well, they're called neurons, but they also have what they call dendrites. It's kind of like if you hold up your fingers like this, and if you intertwine the various molecules like this, then you will have dendrites that connect to each other and communicate back and forth, like my hands going back and forth, right and left. So that the fat that builds the dendrites are very, very important. And if your diet is loaded with unhealthy fats, notice that I'm not saying good fats or bad fats, because I don't like the choice of that words. I'm using unhealthy and healthy fats. I think that's the better way to talk about them. If your diet provides essential healthy fats, your brain cells can manufacture healthy quality nerve cells, the membranes, and positively influence your nerve cells' ability to function at their peak capacity. So there are functions of fats in our body. They are called triglycerides. They're sometimes called cholesterol and other essential fatty acids. By the way, did you know, I just read this recently, if you go out in the sunshine and expose your skin to the sun, even for 5, 10, 15 minutes, it will take the cholesterol in your skin and convert it into vitamin D. Isn't that fascinating? I mean, the body's just so fascinating. So, and we need more vitamin D. I mean, I've got a supplement, it's out in my kitchen, but I think one of the things that's really prevented me from getting sick during these times is I've been taking 5,000 IUs of vitamin D liquid every breakfast, and then 2,000 of vitamin C in the morning with breakfast, and then with my evening, no, I do 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I've been doing that steadily for the last 4 months. So supplements can really be very helpful. So triglycerides, cholesterol, and other essential fatty acids, the scientific term for fats in that the body can't make. And I'm going to talk about those because I've got a little another something to show you over here. It's off the side. You can't see it right now, but I'll show it to you. Because most toxins are fat soluble, fats are the nutrients most likely to have toxins. All of these high fat foods are organic. Now, before I read this list, let me just tell you, when you go into the grocery store in the produce section, you may have noticed that there are little white stickies on the produce. And if you look at that, it's a 5-digit number. If that 5-digit number starts with 4, that's a conventionally grown food. If that 5-digit number starts with a 9, that's an organically grown food. So start reading the small little white tickets on your produce and start buying more organic produce. I think it's really an important thing. Okay, so some of the foods that are really healthier when they're organically grown, one is avocados. Number 2 on my list is butter. Number 3 is nuts of all kind. Number 4 is extra virgin olive oil. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Number 5 is full fat yogurt. Number 6 is coconut and coconut oil. Now let me tell you another story, a true story about coconut oil. I bought my first container of it, I guess maybe about a year and a half ago or so. And I got it home, and some days I would get out of the cupboard and go to get some, and it would be pretty soft. And other days I would get it out of the cupboard and it would be very firm. And what I finally figured out was the nature of coconut oil is such that if my kitchen is very warm, the coconut oil is going to be very liquid. And if my kitchen is very cold, then my coconut oil is going to be very firm. So I'm going to encourage you, because I love coconut and coconut oil. Then on my list, I have full fat yogurt, fatty fish like Pacific salmon or maybe sardines in a can, whole eggs, preferably from organically fed chickens, dark chocolate, if you like dark chocolate. And then I have here two supplements that I want to share with you. One of them looks like this. And I don't know, you probably can't read it, but this is an omega-3 essential fatty acid from a company called Nordic Naturals. And you can buy this at Whole Foods if you want to. I don't know whether the French Broad Food Co-op carries it or not. I'd have to think about that. But this is one of the ones, and I take one of these with breakfast and one of these with my evening meal, and it gives me 1,280 milligrams of these really, really essential fats that the body needs and the brain needs. So that's that one. And let me show you this next one. This is a case of show and tell. So this is by another company called it's called Pure Encapsulations is the brand. And the product itself is Nutrient 950 without iron. This is what I take because I'm way past, menstrual cycles, so I don't need the extra iron. I can get enough of what I need from the foods that I'm eating. And this is really an excellent product. I order these products, well, I sometimes get them at Whole Foods, and both of them I can order through a company called Emerson Ecologics. And I have set up for many, many, many of my clients to be able to order the products online through a program called Wellevate at a very discounted price. So if you're interested in Wellevate information, just let me know. All right, so while we have talked a lot about foods, I want to speak briefly about something that's even more important. What could possibly be more important than food? It starts with a W, water, okay? So water is more important. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to clients and they say, oh yes, 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Well, that might do fine if somebody weighs 120 pounds, but it's not enough for somebody that weighs 150 pounds or somebody who weighs 200 pounds. So here's the formula I want to share with you about how much water to drink. And most people need to drink more water every day, especially now that it's getting really hot out there. I went for my walk down my street this morning and I broke a sweat. It was really hot out there. So here's the formula. Body weight in pounds divided by 2. So if somebody weighs, I'm going to say 160 pounds, and you divide that by 2, 160 divided by 2 is 80 ounces. So that's about 3 quarts of water a day. About 3 quarts of water a day. And you want to drink more when you perspire, more in hot weather, or in instances of diarrhea or constipation. And I already showed you this, my little water bottle, so I carry that with me almost everywhere I go. All right, so now I want to share with you, it looks like this. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's a long list, 2 columns. It comes from an organization I'm going to give you. To get a copy of this, you need to go to foodrevolution.org/longevity, LONGEVITY, foodrevolution.org/longevity. So this is the top 10 foods to avoid and the top 10 foods to eat to promote longevity. So here are the ones to avoid. Sugar and artificial sweeteners, okay. They might taste good, but they're not healthy for the body. Alcohol, we'll leave that's enough said about it. Fried foods, because when foods get fried, they get changed. and the oil or whatever they're cooked in get changed as well if the temperatures are high. And then white flour, or any food with white flour in it. Did you know that when whole wheat is converted into refined white flour, 20 nutrients are removed, but only 4 are added back? That's 3 B vitamins and iron, and we call it enriched. So whoever is eating this kind of enriched flour is missing 16 nutrients that are no longer put back in that flour. And then we have soda. Yep, let me show you. I have a trusty little can. Oops, let's see. Can you recognize what kind of can it is? It's a Pepsi. It says Pepsi on the can front, but over on the side it says Pepsi-Cola. So I think they've changed their name. I don't know, because I haven't had a soda like this in years. Anyhow, what I want to point out here is that this whole can of Pepsi has 41 grams of sugar. Now, most people go, well, I don't know whether that's a lot or not. So here's how you convert it. Any kind of soda, anything that's liquid that has sugar in it, you want to read the label, you want to look at sugars, and this Pepsi can, the whole can has got 41 grams of sugar in it. If you divide this by 4, because there are 4 grams of sugar in a teaspoon, then you will get 10 teaspoons of sugar in this can. It's a 12-ounce can. And then if you divide that by about 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, this can has got 9 to 10 teaspoons of sugar in it, already in it as you drink it. Now, granted, it might taste wonderful, and it's not healthy. Okay, so what else? We talked about enriched flour. Processed meats like bacon and sausage and those kinds of things are not healthy to eat. Commercial baked goods, you know, they're made with white flour, so they don't have all the nutrients in they should. And they often are made with canola oil, which I have heard is a very, very unhealthy oil to consume. All right, then we have grain-fed red meat, because the grain has toxins in it, and then milk from grain-fed cows, and then foods that have high salt content. I'm thinking of pretzels. All right, so moving right along. Now, here's the top 10 foods that you can eat more of, more. Dark leafy greens, spinach, kale, collard, cilantro, and there probably are others. Number 2 is berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Notice how they have these bright pigments? These are powerful antioxidants in our body, and they help us from getting inflamed. Nuts and seeds are number 3. Number 4 is onions and garlic. I love my avocados, cut in half, the skin taken off, and then a little bit of mayonnaise and a little bit of fresh garlic on top of it. That's the way I eat my avocados. Then number 5 is tomatoes. Last Saturday, I went to the tailgate market over the UNCA market, and I bought myself 2 lovely bright red tomatoes. And I just squeezed one. They're sitting on my counter, and I just squeezed one today, and I think I'm going to eat that one with my salad for my dinner tonight. So go check out the tailgate market. They have lots and lots of things. They keep the booths distanced, you know, just that's part of the coronavirus process. And a lot of it is organic. So go and support our local farmers. Then cruciferous veggies include broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, collards, kale, radishes, and Brussels sprouts. I have a bag of Brussels sprouts in my refrigerator right now. Legumes and beans, turmeric, which is the root of the plant that's often made into curcumin. And it has this wonderful bright orange color. And it's so healthy because it too has lots of antioxidants. And then various kinds of teas are healthy to consume more of. Green tea, white tea, black tea, and oolong tea. My favorite is green tea. I just can't do coffee. It just, not in the morning, not at night, but I do green tea in the morning, and I really enjoy that. And the last one on the list has to do with mushrooms. More mushrooms. Okay, to eat. Yes, yes, yes. Now, just a couple more things, and I don't know. All right. So I told you about sunshine on the skin is converted into vitamin D. So get a daily dose of sunshine every day. It only has to be 5, 10, 15 minutes, but it's really, really worth it. And then I often watch summits online because there's so much new information coming out in this field of foods and nutrition that and I heard about something that was new to me last week. It's called earthing or grounding, and they were talking about it on this summit, and they were saying how helpful it is for improving sleep, reducing chronic pain, reducing stress, reducing inflammation, and improving general well-being. So Josh, this comes from the National Institute of Health. So I think I might have to put together a list of some of the URLs for these online places where people might like to go. Okay? So I have a couple of books that I want to share. Oops, my Pepsi can just fell down. Oh no. So here's one. This is called Digestive Wellness, written by another Elizabeth. Her last name is Lipski, Lipski, and she's a good friend of mine. And she and her husband, Chris, actually used to live here in Asheville, but now they live out in California. So Digestive Wellness was published this year. If you have any kind of GI problems, this is a great book to have in your library. Or you can call me and I'll tell you about how to talk to me as we get to the end. Here is another book. One of my favorite authors is Mark Hyman. Let me turn to another page so I don't leave anything out. Okay, so I want to recommend another book. This is called The ULTRAMIND Solution. Fix your broken brain by feeding your body first. Okay, so that's another excellent book. And he has a new one that I haven't yet read, was published this year. It's called Food Fix: How to Save Our Health, Our Economy, Our Communities, and Our Planet, one bite at a time. And so, although I'm not talking about Alzheimer's disease, I do have two favorite books of mine. This is called The End of Alzheimer's, and the author's name is Dale Bredesen, Bredesen. Subtitle is The First Program to Prevent and Reverse Cognitive Decline. So you may be interested in this. This one is a newer book. It's called The Alzheimer's Solution: A Breakthrough Program to Prevent and Reverse the Symptoms of Cognitive Decline at Every Age. And it's a husband and wife author, Dean and Ayesha Sherzai, and they're both doctors at Loma Linda Medical Center. And then the last book here is called, hold on just a second, I gotta turn my page. It's called, this one's called Living to Be 100, 16 Common Lifestyle Characteristics of the Oldest and Healthiest People in the World by Michael E. Howard. And this one was published in 2017. All right, so how are we doing here? Okay. So I think it's time to do my invitation here. What do you think, Zach?
Go for it.
Okay, I would like to offer anyone who is listening 2 special ways a person can get to know me better. First is a free 15-minute phone call with me to ask 1 or 2 questions about their health. The second one is a half-price hour appointment in my office. Your investment is $75, payable either by check or by cash. And now it's time for questions and answers.
Well, yeah, so we'll go into that in just a moment. First of all, I just want to say thank you again. So you gave us, you know, I gave you, invited you to do this huge topic, like kind of how much value, basically I asked her, like, how much value could she cram into the shortest period of time in terms of giving us a lot of things that we could do. But obviously, I mean, you probably gave us a couple dozen things, which is fantastic in and of itself. Easily, it could be easy, you know, to be overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh, what should I do? So one thing that's great is you're offering people the opportunity to reach out to you for free and get their top, you know, 1 or 2 questions answered. Or if they want more than that, half price to actually spend more time with you. But what I did here is I typed out, I'm just going to hit enter on the chat so you guys can see some of the key takeaways. I don't know how many there are here. There's probably 7, but just things that for me really stood out. So
Okay, so I can't hear you.
Did I go on? I went away for a second there. Somehow got muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and
Okay.
it was somebody else that put that back
Okay.
up again because that's yours.
Yeah. So
That's your list. Put your list back up again, please.
yeah. So I'm doing that. It should be in the chat now. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Not yet.
Well, for those who knows how to use chat, I know that you were not sure how to access it. You'd have to hit a button, but I'm just going to read it to folks real quick here. Okay. So key things that I took away from what I heard, being mindful about what goes on our skin. Like I'm thoughtful myself about what I put in my mouth, and I don't put much stuff on my skin, but it's not something I would have thought about as much before as I would now, having heard what you said. So what goes on our skin? So one sec here. Somebody private messaged me and it made my chat go away. Okay, finding what I had here. Well, I also wrote it down, so I'll just read off my written list. So when we're looking at sugars, you know, for whatever we're looking at, for example, the soda can, you know, typically it's grams, right? So if you divide whatever those grams are by 4,
You get
then it gives us an estimate of actual tablespoons, which is for Americans is a lot easier.
No, it doesn't give you. No, it gives you how many teaspoons. If you divide, it gives you teaspoons, and then you have to divide that by 4 if you want to divide it by 3 to get tablespoons of sugar.
Okay, gotcha. So divided by 4, it gives us teaspoons.
Yes.
So that's one way to get a better idea of like how much sugar is really in this. Pile up that many teaspoons together, right? That was a great takeaway for me. When it comes to meat and dairy products, be paying attention to grass-fed versus grain-fed.
Yes.
You're going to have different profiles, particularly of the fats, like the healthy, the omega-3s and omega-6s. But just grass-fed, grain-fed, it can make a huge difference. If you like your dairy, you like your beef, see if you can buy more grass-fed of those products. And you didn't say this explicitly, but you kind of did in a way when you're talking about your list of healthy foods. If you look at all those, that's a very colorful variety of things to be eating. So just colors, looking for those colors. You referenced it with berries specifically, but from mushrooms that are typically brown in nature color to berries that are reds and blues and all sorts of colors to the leafy greens, like just having that diversity of color as often as possible was another key takeaway for me. And those are all relatively simple things in and of themselves. So I would just encourage anybody who was in this moment that might be like, oh my gosh, that's so much information. Just, you know, try to chunk it down to 1 or 2 things that might feel doable for you right now if you're interested in making some changes. So will you, Elizabeth, be able to, I've got that list of books and I can also reference this and send out that list later. The supplements that you mentioned, would you be willing to send me that in a list, and I can email that out to people in a follow-up to this, just to make
Sure.
it simple
Yeah,
for
sure.
them?
I can do that.
Okay, because you held up and referenced the ones that you take. So if you could, I'll follow up with you on that. But then, guys, and so that brings up another point. If you're not on my email list, the only way I can really get you this information is if you'll email me and give me your email. So anybody who doesn't know who I am, doesn't have my email, I'll put that in the chat box here. It's Zach Comer. Let's use this one. We'll use Zach at HPA Fitness. Zach at hpafitness.com. I'm putting that in the chat box. For everybody's on my email list, don't worry about it. You'll get an email soon with this information. But if you want a recording of this call, and you want some just extra extracts from it, like the book list and the supplement list, email me and I'll make sure you get that information as well. So with that being said, we'll open it up for questions. The idea was to go till maybe 6 o'clock or so. So we have about 20 minutes. So you'll just need to unmute yourself if you know how to do that, and then you can ask your question.
Good afternoon. It's Alice Iverson. I just wanted to ask about sunscreen, since you mentioned how, we need to be worried about what we put on our skin. Do you have any recommendations for sunscreen?
No, but there's a place that you can go. It's called the Environmental Working Group. ewg.org. It's a look. They have a list of the clean 15 foods and the dirty dozen foods, and it changes on a regular basis. Is that an answer to your question, Alice?
I'll check the website out. I just, there's so much chemicals in that stuff. It's scary.
Yes. And they do have foods, and they also have a long list of skin products and other things that people might put on their skin.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I have a question. Do you recommend anything? You like the green tea. What about teas to...
Jen, I think you broke up there at the end. I heard you say you like green tea, and and it got cut off.
Oh, do you advise any teas to go to sleep for insomnia?
Well, certainly there are herbal teas that you could do. What I would do is I'd probably Google, herbal teas for sleeping and see what shows up, and then go and buy a couple and try them out and see how they work in your body, because everybody's body is a little different.
Okay.
And the other thing that I do is I take melatonin. Melatonin is something that the brain produces, but as we get older, it produces less and less. So these are lozenges that I just put under my tongue when I get ready to go to bed, and I just let it dissolve in my mouth like melatonin would get presented to the brain.
May I ask your feelings about reverse osmosis water versus alkalized water?
The reason I'm hesitating is I live in a home that's on a well. So after I'd lived here about 3 months, I went, oh, this water is dirty. And so what I do for my drinking water is I buy reverse osmosis water that I get at the health food stores in glass gallon jugs. And after I'd been drinking that for a little while, I went, oh, so I'm taking all the minerals out of this water when I do the RO water. And so what I now do is I buy sea salt, and you can buy sea salt at Whole Foods and maybe some other places, maybe the food co-op. And so I put a teaspoon of sea salt into a gallon of the RO water to replace the minerals that have been taken out. Does that answer your question?
Oh, how do you feel about the alkalized water?
Well, I think it depends upon you're alkalizing it to what pH?
Well, the machines usually say around between 9 and 11.
Oh, because you really want so here's something else I do is what I drink at night, the last thing I drink at night is some water that has dissolved in it aluminum-free baking soda. That makes my body more alkaline through the night as I sleep. And then in the morning, I get out my pH strips. And as I'm doing my first, as my kids say, first peeing of the morning, I swipe it through, and then I want it to be somewhere between 6 and 7 for the pH. Because that's one of the reasons I believe very firmly that it's the RO water that I'm drinking, and it's the pH I'm maintaining in my body that is helping me stay so healthy at my age. Oh, lots of other things too.
Thank you.
Especially maintaining pH.
So
I have a
Jill, I just wanted to just give a quick little perspective that I have on the water and alkalized water. So most natural spring water has a pH between 8 and 9. So that's nature's designed water, and if it's going above that, I wouldn't care to drink it in large quantities. I mean, our stomach is highly acidic and has to be to break things down. So if we're putting something that's highly alkalized in there and drinking a lot of highly alkalized water beyond a 9, which is what nature water typically is, I just have, and I can't cite any science on that, but it just, to me, makes me question the wisdom of doing that.
I have a question.
Yes, Ann.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
How about I have stainless steel water bottles. I'm not using it now, but I drink out of those usually. What do you think about that?
I think stainless steel is fine. Yes.
Okay.
It's been, and somebody else put up a message about aluminum water bottles.
Okay.
I think not. You know, stainless steel, yes. Water like this, but I don't think I would do aluminum.
My dad had Alzheimer's, and the doctors advised him, or my mother, never to cook in aluminum, and she always cooked in aluminum. But no aluminum deodorant, things like that. So aluminum to me is out, but
absolutely, I would agree. Yep. Okay.
And white carbs, I have another question. White carbs is like a white potato and white noodles. How about those little spiral noodles that have spinach and carrot in? They're primarily white, would you say?
Well, if they're noodles, the noodle itself, just, we'll just discount the colored. The noodle itself is made out of white flour.
Okay.
And a little bit of color, from the fruits and vegetables, but it's not really very much. So, and what was the other thing you mentioned beside noodles?
White potato. Sweet potatoes are fine.
Sweet potatoes are fine because they've got that wonderful pigment.
Right.
White potatoes, I would think in small amounts. And if you're a person who's had any problems with diabetes, you might want to eliminate it.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Okay. And ceramic pans that you cook with, and they have like a, it's not, what do you call it? It's non-stick. It's a non-stick, but it's a ceramic pan that you can buy, that I bought. What do you think about that?
Well, that I must be honest and tell you that's something new to me.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of cooking, what I have in my kitchen is all stainless steel.
Yeah.
Across the board, nothing else.
And when you put on your skin, I'm hoping all these apply to other people too. When you put creams on your skin, can you buy like at Earth Fare creams to make your skin softer with a little bit of smell to it, but it's organic creams?
Well, if it's made of organic ingredients, then it probably is okay. And did I mention that Earth Fair, at least the Earth
Yeah.
Fair at Westgate is opening up on the
Yes.
24th of this month. So I have a friend, she and I sometimes walk down there. We're going to go and celebrate. And then-
Nice.
Okay. And
Thank you.
go to the environmental working group and look up the kinds of creams that you're putting on your skin and see what they say about it. Because there's so much to keep track of.
I know.
And I don't. I mean, sometimes if my lips get really dry, I go get my bottle of extra virgin organic olive oil and I shake it and I rub my finger in the bottle and then I rub it on my lips. It does fine.
Yeah, good idea.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Speaking of the organic olive oil, my great Italian aunts at the end of the day would sit down and have their little apricot brandy and then pass the bottle of olive oil around. They'd each take a teaspoon on their hand, rub it on their face, rub it on their hands, and rub it through their hair. They all lived into their 90s and had the most beautiful skin and hair.
Wow.
Whoa, I think I'm going to try some of that.
I mean, it's so natural. I get online and it's organic olive oil soap and it's scented with lavender, but that's all I use on my hair. It's a shampoo and it's also the conditioner. It's called Olivella. You can order it online and it's really wonderful.
Can you spell that for me?
Olivella. If you Google it, it should come up.
Okay.
And it's all made with olive oil. They have all kinds of products. They have skin creams, because I'm very sensitive, so I don't put too much on my
Right.
skin in
Right.
any shape or form.
The only problem I would have about rubbing it into my hair is that means I would have to wash my hair every night.
Well, you see, these were old Italian ladies who wore their hair combed back and up in those little chignons. So, I mean, it just sort of, it wears its way in and you get used to the smell.
Yes.
But the
Okay.
Olivella is a pure olive oil shampoo, and they have a pure olive oil conditioner. And then I use their body soap is olive oil with lavender scent. They have it also with, essential oil scents. I think they have an orange, but
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for the information. You're Kathy, right?
I'm Kathy, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Other questions? You can ask me anything you want. And if I don't know the answer, I say, I don't know the answer, but I'll look it up and see if I can find it.
Hello.
Hello.
Kathleen.
Oh, okay. Hi, this is Kathleen. I have a question about coconut oil. What do you think of using coconut oil as a body moisturizer?
It's greasy.
You know, that's an excellent question, and I'm going to have to explore. The next time I get mine out, I'm going to have to, maybe I'll get some on my fingers and put it on my lips and see if I like it as well as I like the olive oil.
Okay. I've used it for years off and on, but it doesn't absorb into the skin, for one. But anyways,
Okay.
I'd just be interested to hear what you think of it.
Does it absorb into your skin if it's liquid?
Not really.
Describing the different temperatures.
Yeah,
So-
I've whipped it. I've used a whisk and whipped it up, and it still just doesn't quite.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay, all right.
Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, sure.
Alejandra, are you wanting to speak? You're on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Elizabeth. I have a question regarding, do you have a source for foods that should be or would be better for someone undergoing chemotherapy? Any sources that you would have for that?
Well, I would certainly do organic.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And undergoing chemotherapy and foods that feed the immune system. And so I probably would do a little bit of Googling on that and see what, Google chemotherapy and foods to eat, or Google chemotherapy and foods not to eat.
Mhm.
Certainly no sugar and white.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're going through that experience, I would be very careful and give me a call and let's talk about that. Let's do one of the 15 minutes. And so chemo, and I'm going to write down here, and foods, ? Okay.
Okay.
So will you call me, please? Oh, you don't have my phone number. Okay, so my phone number is 828-712-8938.
Okay. Thank you.
There it is. You're so efficient, Zach.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
what about rice pasta? There's brown rice pasta and then there's rice pasta. Would you?
Well, given the choice between the two, I would always consume brown rice rather than white rice, unless the white rice grows that way. I'm not sure. I always thought that rice, when it grows, is brown. It's kind of the same thing with your wheat. You want to do whole wheat flour, you want to do brown rice. If there's any kind of elimination of any of the nutritious components, like there is when you convert it into white flour, if you get any elimination of things when you get it in white rice, I think I would Google comparison of white rice and brown rice nutritionally.
Okay, thanks.
Google's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'm enjoying this. I want you to know.
While folks may be formulating a question or two, if there are any more, I wanted to just go back to Jed's question earlier about supplements for recommendations for, well, you didn't say supplements, you asked about teas as it relates to insomnia. So I just wanted to give a list of other supplements that people might experiment with, including you, Jed, because
Okay.
you just kind of have to try different things and see what helps. I mean, that would be true with insomnia and so many other things, right? But one is called 5-HTP. 5-HTP, and basically what that is, it's an extract from a natural occurring something that it's a precursor to serotonin,
Right.
and serotonin helps produce melatonin. So you can take melatonin supplements. That for some people that's helpful. For some people, I've heard that melatonin, they feel like that doesn't help them taking the melatonin supplement, but the 5-HTP does, and that the idea is it helps your body produce more melatonin on its own. So that's one. There's a supplement that it's pretty readily available at most health food stores called Natural Calm. And I think that's primarily magnesium. And it's a little powder and you stir it in with some hot water and drink it. A lot of people have found that CBD products are helpful for sleep.
And can I say one more thing, Zach?
Sure.
I mean, we're so obsessed about calcium in our society, and we do our very best to get enough of it. But what we don't get enough is the counterpart, which is magnesium. And so I would encourage you, restless leg syndrome is a classic example. And inability to sleep is helped by more magnesium. And do not buy magnesium oxide because it's the cheapest form. It doesn't work very well. You want to be purchasing magnesium citrate, magnesium glycinate, magnesium, and there are, Google will know all the forms of magnesium, but do not do the oxide.
Great, thank you. The last one, Jed, and anybody else who's wondering about support for your sleep, it's a product, it's an adaptogenic herb complex by David Winston, who's an expert in the field of adaptogenics. It's called Anxiety and Calm. You can get it if you're, well, you are local, Jed. You can get it at French Broad Co-op. I know that for sure. I buy it there for myself.
Okay.
And that's been the one that I've used at times, particularly an hour or so before bedtime when I'm feeling kind of wired and I need a little support in winding down.
Okay.
So in terms of just supplements, obviously there's plenty of other things as far as sleep hygiene goes that would be recommended for anybody struggling with sleep. But as far as supplements, those are some of the ones that I'm familiar with, either through my own experience or other people that I know.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Now, Zach, something flashed across the screen about zinc and arsenic.
What about arsenic levels in rice is a question from Linda.
Arsenic levels in rice. And yes, that sometimes happens. And I believe the reason it happens is because there's arsenic in the soil. And so when they grow rice crops in the soil that has arsenic, the arsenic gets into the rice. I'm assuming that there probably are labs out there that would test the rice and let you know certain brands that would be okay, would be low arsenic, and other brands that might be higher. Maybe it changes, depending upon where the rice acreage is.
Even if you buy organic brown rice?
Well, the definition of organic doesn't necessarily apply to the toxic minerals like lead, mercury, arsenic, and the others. So if you eat a lot of rice, what I would do if I was going to eat a lot of rice, which I don't do a lot of, I would want to get in touch with the company and say, I'm starting to buy your rice, and I want to find out if you have assessed it if the lab has looked at the rice to see what the levels of arsenic or other toxins are. Because they should know that. And if they don't, then you kick their butt. You politely kick their butt and say, find out for me, please. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy anymore.
I definitely have a question. I heard you link aluminum cookware and aluminum chlorhydrate in deodorant and recommended not to use aluminum cookware. So I went to Google and I went to the Alzheimer website, aliceiverson.org, and this is what they say. The suspicion led to concern about exposure to aluminum through everyday sources such as pots and pans, beverage cans, antacids, and antiperspirants. Since then, studies have failed to confirm any role for aluminum in causing Alzheimer's. That's from the Alzheimer's Association. I think you were on thin ice lumping those two together, and that information you gave is incorrect.
No,
Well,
I
have to respectfully disagree with you.
I got it right from the Alzheimer's site.
There's not a role for any function of aluminum in the body. And
that's not the question. The question is, from the Alzheimer's website themselves, they are dismissing the link with aluminum to the disease.
Okay, they can do that.
You can go to alz.org, their website, and you can read it. So the assumption that aluminum cookware is bad for you is wrong.
Then I respectfully disagree with them.
Well, there you go.
Also, when you cook in aluminum, Elizabeth, like if you do a tomato based anything, when you cook in aluminum, I remember seeing it turning black.
You need to distinguish, the people in this call need to distinguish the fact that it doesn't matter what aluminum does to the food, and we're not saying you don't need aluminum in the body. What we're saying is that aluminum is not a cause of Alzheimer's.
Okay.
That's the distinction. Go to alz.org and read it yourself.
Kathy, do you have a question?
No.
I have another one, Elizabeth.
Sure.
If you're out, I'm outside every day walking or getting as much sun as I can, at least 5 to 10 minutes if it's really cold out. And I don't think you need supplements if you're out at for that length of time, do you? Because I have overdosed on vitamin D before. And it was through supplements, but it's a multivitamin and then calcium with D and all of those. So what do you say about that? Does everybody need a supplement, or should you get your blood checked to see what you are before doing that?
I would, if you have any concerns about vitamin D, whether it's too low, most people are too low in vitamin D.
Right, I
Next
understand.
time you go to your physician, I would ask them specifically to check your vitamin D levels in the blood. And what I remember is somewhere between 40 and 80, but you can check with Google or check with the office.
I think that's what, not Marnie, but Whitney said. Zach.
Whitney said a lot.
Yeah. There was somewhere
I don't remember everything Whitney said in her 4 calls
Yeah.
that she's done with us on brain health, but if you remember that.
I remember, yeah, so I think you're within the range, yeah. I wrote
Yeah.
notes, so I'm trying to remember. Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate your talk.
So Whitney is somebody that you've had on this show before, right, Zach?
Yeah, Whitney Madden. She's the our resident brain health expert. She's an acupuncturist of over 20 years, and now she's has a company called Brainwise Acupuncturist, where she consults with acupuncturists and healthcare practitioners around the globe on how to integrate brain health practices into their healthcare practice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, we're a little past the hour, guys, and a lot of you have hung around, and I'm glad to see that
Thank
there's that much interest to hang around. So, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up there, unless there's somebody that has something that they're just like, oh, I've got to ask right now. We good? So just remember, this call's been recorded. If you're on the email list, we'll get it out to you. Hope to do that within the next week or so. I'll follow up with Elizabeth on just some of the details, some of the book list. I've got that actually already, but maybe some of the supplements. And if there's anything else you want to add to that, Elizabeth, just for people to have, in a simple little one-page document, we can get that out as well. So thank you again. You've given tremendous
Yes, thank you very much.
value.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks,
a lot.
Elizabeth.
Time and we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Welcome.
it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Give me
Thank
a
you,
call
Elizabeth.
and
Thank
we
you,
can, the free 15-minute phone call or the half price hour, we can talk about lots of things then.
Great.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Zach.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye, Zach.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, Zach.
Bye. So if you want to hang in there, Elizabeth,